Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Today or tonight, we are diving into part two of the topic we started last week, where we're talking about the secrets of black hair, understanding the structure and the care. Last week, we talked about understanding your hair's porosity. We talked about how to figure out what your curl type or your hair your curl pattern or your hair type is. So we went through kind of the basics of that and how you can determine those things yourself. And then tonight we're going to go in a little bit deeper and talk about things like how to moisturize. We're talking about scalp health as it pertains to hair growth, and then some hair care practices that are necessary, especially if you are trying to regrow your hair. Okay. So if you're seeing me for the first time, my name is Kendra, and I am the founder of the 180 Collection. If you are frustrated with hair loss and products that don't work, then you are in the right place. So what we do is show you how simple changes to your mindset, your habits, and your nutrition can help to regrow your hair. All right. So like I said, this week is part two of our deep dive into the wonderful world of black hair in all its complexity. Understanding the science of our hair, okay, helps to make sure that we have the information that we need when we're on our hair growth journey. So many of the women that I talk to and work with and listen to, right, they're all on this journey to regrow their hair. They want their hair to come back from alopecia. They want their hair to regrow back from poor hair care practices, right? All of these issues. But we focus so much on the growth that we forget about all the other little things in between that are really not little things, particularly when it comes to things, like I said, like moisturizing and making sure that we're doing scalp care, right? Because these things are necessary in the growth journey, all right? So as we get started, the first thing we're going to talk about is moisture. And moisture retention is very important, but it's also very challenging, right? Especially for black hair, especially if you're someone that is wearing your hair natural, you know how tough it is to keep your hair moisturized, okay? Now, this is due to our hair's unique structure and the unique curl patterns that many of us have. And then we have to take into account, like we talked about last week, your hair's porosity, okay? That's definitely important. That's something that you definitely need to know. We talked about how you can do your own hair porosity test at home. I'm going to talk about 4 effective ways that you can moisturize your hair in a way that will really make a difference, okay? The first thing is incorporate leave-in conditioners. All right, we're going to talk about that. Using natural oils like coconut oil, jojoba oil, argan oil. We'll talk a little bit about that. Doing regular deep conditioning treatments. Okay, I know that many of us are not doing that enough. And then the importance of sealing in moisture, okay? So there's a difference between hydrating your hair and moisturizing. We talked about that a few weeks ago. But once we get the hydration or the water or the moisture in, we have to make sure we are sealing it in because we don't want that moisture to escape, all right? So here's how we do it. So first things first, with the leave-in conditioner. Leave-in conditioners, unlike the rinse-out conditioners, okay, these are designed to stay in the hair after you wash it or after you shampoo. And this provides your hair with continuous moisture and makes it easier to detangle, all right? So the leave-in conditioners helps to coat the hair fibers and smooth the cuticle, allowing the hair to retain the necessary hydration levels, okay? Now, this ongoing moisture that the leave-in conditioners provide is critical to prevent your hair strands from becoming brittle and breaking off. So there's a lot of women that are dealing with hair that they say is brittle or it's breaking. They experience a lot of breakage. Breakage is usually the symptom of hair that is very dry or the hair that's in need of moisture. That's not always the case. But if you know that you are not moisturizing or hydrating your hair properly and you're experiencing breakage, that is probably the reason why. All right, the second thing that you can do to make sure you are moisturizing your hair in a way that really makes a difference is using natural oils, okay? Now, there are 100 natural oils that you could use. All of them have their own unique properties and they moisturize and nourish your hair in their own unique way. So it's really important for you to understand what or pay attention to what type of oils or what type of texture that your hair likes, okay? Because the three we're going to talk about here is coconut oil, jojoba oil, and argan oil. And the reason I'm doing these is because they are very basic. They are easy to find, okay? You'll find these oils in a lot of hair products anyway, but you could use whatever works for your hair, all right? Now, these natural oils play a dual role. So they're doing two things. They're not only helping to lock in moisture and provide a protective layer, they're also nourishing your hair. So these natural oils, these natural ingredients have nourishment, all right? Essential fatty acids and nutrients. So you're going to get your vitamins, you're going to get nutrients from these oils, and they're also going to help to keep your hair moisturized. So coconut oil, for example, is one oil that has the ability to penetrate the hair shaft. Most oils don't do that. Coconut oil is one that does for most people. So this is going to give you deep moisturization if you are someone that needs that. Now, jojoba oil, if you didn't know, it is very close to the natural sebum or the natural oil that our scalp produces naturally. Everyone's scalp produces a natural oil called sebum. This is your hair's natural way to keep itself moisturized, okay? Jojoba oil is very close to that. And it's also very good for soothing and conditioning the scalp. So if you're someone that has scalp issues, this will be a good oil for you. And then last but not least, argan oil. You'll find argan oil everywhere, okay? It's rich in antioxidants and vitamin E. Why is that important to you? Is because it helps to increase your hair's elasticity. This is also going to help if you're someone that is experiencing a lot of breakage. And also, argan oil is one of the top oils for shine. So if you're looking for something that gives your hair a natural shine, argan oil is going to be what you should choose. Okay, so the third way that you can effectively moisturize your hair in a way that makes a difference is by regular deep conditioning. All right, how many of us are deep conditioning our hair regularly? When I say regularly, I mean at least every 2 weeks. Okay, I know this is not, most of the time we ain't washing our hair every week. I know that. We are not shampooing and conditioning our hair every week, okay? But at least every 2 weeks or once a month, if you could really just take the time and do a deep condition. And why is this important? It's because these deep conditioning treatments go deeper than just your regular conditioner, okay? And it's not just about the products, because you can really deep condition with just about anything. It's more about the process, okay? So it's going to help to give your hair a little bit more intense hydration, all right? Now, if you don't have a product that specifically says deep conditioner, there are some things that you can do to make your regular conditioner more conditioning, okay? You can add things like honey, you can add avocado, you can add an egg. These things have proteins and fatty acids and nutrients that can help to give your hair that extra conditioning that it needs. But there's also a certain way you should do this, okay? You're going to need to apply heat, all right? Especially if you are someone that has low porosity hair. And remember we talked about porosity last week. The cuticles on your hair shaft mimic or look, or you can think of them like shingles on a roof. They're very tightly packed. And when you have low porosity, they are tight, okay? So it's hard to get moisture in. People with low porosity hair typically have a harder time getting moisture in their hair, okay? And one way that we do that is to add heat or use heat during our conditioning process. So that means wearing a thermal cap. We have actually some of those on the website. You can sit under a dryer. You can wrap your hair with a warm towel. Just whatever you can do to get heat into your hair shaft. Again, that's going to open those cuticles. And again, regular deep conditioning, typically twice a week if you can do it that often, but definitely once a month. This can actually dramatically improve your hair's moisture and elasticity. Okay, so if you're willing to take that extra step, it is definitely going to make a difference. And so, number 4 in the ways to effectively moisturize your hair in a way that will make a difference is by sealing in moisture. So you don't want to take all that time to moisturize and then don't seal, okay? Now, this is a crucial step, particularly for my ladies with high porosity hair. So we talked about high porosity hair last week, and if you have that type of hair, that means that your cuticles are more open. So your hair, it easily gets moisture in, but it also easily loses it. So in order to help with that, you have to use something like a heavy butter or heavy hair butters or heavier oils like castor oil. Your heavier butters would be like, of course, shea butter. Um, and this will help to create a barrier that locks the moisture in from your water-based products. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is scalp health and hair growth. So as we know, healthy hair starts with a healthy scalp. Your scalp is the foundation, all right? Um, the condition of your scalp can significantly impact your hair health and how your hair grows, okay? A scalp environment that is healthy is optimal for your follicles to grow out happy and healthy. On the other hand, an unhealthy scalp can lead to issues that stop your hair from growing or prevent growth and then reduce the overall health. So I always say everybody's hair is growing. Your hair is always growing. That's something that it does on its own. You really don't have to do anything for your hair to grow. It's a natural part of our body chemistry, a natural part of our process. All right. The issue is length retention, or when our hair grows out, it's not growing out healthy because we're not feeding it from the inside. We're not taking care of our scalp. We're not using products that contribute to hair health. So when that hair finally does break the surface, it's not healthy. It ends up growing out very weak and brittle, and then it doesn't grow out the full growth cycle. Okay. So you'll end up with a lot of breakage and shedding that way. Now, what type of scalp environment is not good for hair growth? Let's talk about 3. Number 1 is scalp dryness. So if your scalp is dry, what happens? Your scalp is irritated, right? You get itching, you get flaking, you probably have dandruff. These things can stop or block your follicles and block hair growth, all right? So if your scalp is dry, you need to maintain moisture balance. That's going to be key for you. If you're someone that naturally has a dry scalp, you should be looking at things to keep your scalp moisturized in the most natural way possible. I'm always going to say that. And you're going to have to do it as regularly as possible. Okay, you can use hydrating scalp oils. You can use liquid-based conditioners that are specifically for your scalp. You can look for serums or, like I said, oils like jojoba oil because it mimics the scalp's natural oil sebum or the natural sebum that the scalp produces. Tea tree oil is good. Almond oil is another good choice. All of these things are lighter oils that also help to maintain moisture balance for your scalp. So they not only hydrate, but they have the properties to help with irritation. So if your scalp itching is causing, or your scalp dryness, I'm sorry, is causing irritation, then you need something to not only address the dryness, but also the irritation, okay? Those oils will help to do that. Another unhealthy scalp is a scalp that's excessively oily, or a scalp that has excessive oil production. So like I said, the sebum that our scalp produces, sometimes there's some of us that have an overly productive, I forgot what the sebaceous gland. And that's the same thing on the skin on your face. So sometimes there are some people that have really oily skin naturally. The scalp can be the exact same way, okay? Because the scalp is skin, right? So an overly oily scalp can do what? It can attract and trap dirt, pollutants. It can clog your follicles. And all of these things can make your scalp conditions, if you already have them, worse, all right? So how do you manage an oily scalp? We know how to manage a scalp that's on the drier side. How do you manage a scalp that's on the oilier side? So you may have to use specific shampoos for this, all right? There are specific shampoos out there for oily scalps, okay? They'll have ingredients in them like salicylic acid. Salicylic acid is something that people that have extreme acne can use to help with that. It's pretty safe for the most part. You're not going to get a high percentage of it. It's not going to be anything that's going to really dry your scalp out. It's just going to help with the overproduction of oil. And if you want something that's even more on the natural side, you can use something like, or ingredients or products that have green tea as an ingredient. You can also boil your own green tea. You can create or make your own green tea rinse, all right? And it's just as simple as that. If you use green tea from a tea bag, or if you do loose tea, loose leaf tea, doesn't matter. You boil a few cups of it. After you do your normal shampoo, or you shampoo your scalp, you just rinse with the green tea. And then you may let it sit for a while just to kind of penetrate the scalp. And then you do that as frequently or as often as you need to until you start seeing results, okay? If it's really bad, or if it's something that you are not able to manage yourself, I'll skip ahead. I said salicylic acid and green tea, right? These can help regulate the oil production of the scalp without stripping the scalp of its natural oils. Now, the next thing that contributes to an unhealthy scalp is different scalp conditions. So there are many scalp conditions of the scalp, or problems, issues of the scalp. One of those being dermatitis. You can also have psoriasis of the scalp. These are all skin conditions. And remember, the scalp is skin, so if it can happen on your skin, 9 times out of 10, it can happen in your scalp. And you can get fungal infections. That's a lot of times what we are dealing with on our scalp, especially if you are constantly dealing with like irritation. It could just be as simple as you have a fungus. We have natural bacteria and fungus on our scalp anyway. It's part of our skin's microbiome. So those things should be there naturally anyway to protect your body, right? But sometimes these things grow out of control. How do they grow out of control? Number one reason, too much sugar. If you are eating or intaking a lot of sugar, that can cause overgrowth of these things on your scalp and your skin and your digestive system, okay? So just remember that everything that goes in the body affects what's on the outside, including your hair. So managing this, again, like I said before, you may need targeted treatments. You may need a specific treatment that may have to be prescribed, which, again, your medicated shampoos, topical steroids, antifungal treatments. There are some natural things that you can do depending on how bad these conditions get. You may have to see a dermatologist or a trichologist or your doctor just to kind of get the ball rolling on the treatments, right? And then maybe you can manage what you can at home once you get it under control. But you know your scalp and your hair better than anybody else. If you know that there's something that's not right, then you should definitely be speaking up about it. Here's a few things that you can do. Aside from going to see a doctor, or if you can't do that, if you really want to try to manage these things at home or by yourself, here are a few things you can do really quick. Nutrition and scalp health. So I just talked about how eating or taking in too much sugar can cause an overgrowth or an excess of these bacteria and funguses on your scalp. So a well-nourished scalp supports the growth of healthy hair. So of course you need your typical vitamins, minerals, and nutrients. That's your A, C, E, and B vitamins, okay? You also need your minerals like zinc and iron. These are all things that you should be getting from foods, okay? Now you can supplement with these for these minerals, but if you are already deficient, and I've said this before, if you are already deficient, your body is going to prioritize these minerals, these vitamins to your vital organs. Your vital organs are always first. Your hair is always last because your hair is not a vital organ. You don't need your hair to survive. Your hair is not creating any any specific functions in your body, okay? So just keep that in mind. You should always maintain a level of vitamins A, C, E, B, your iron, your zinc. Um, anyway, so that you're not in a deficit. Okay, I'll move on from that. So a diet rich in these nutrients or supplementing is perfectly fine, but you have to do it appropriately. I always recommend doing it with foods first. Regular cleansing and exfoliation. Keeping your scalp clean from buildup is fundamental. Okay. If you are noticing scalp irritation, doing things like regular shampooing your scalp, okay, helps to remove those excess oils that we talked about, helps to remove the dead skin, especially if you're scratching, if you're itching a lot, because your scalp is shedding daily, shedding dead skin cells, just like the skin on your body. That's why we have to shower daily, okay? Because your body is constantly shedding dead skin cells. Your scalp is doing the same thing. The only thing is, because we have hair up there, sometimes those dead skin cells, if we don't cleanse or shampoo enough, they start to build up. And you could only imagine the problems that causes when we don't cleanse it properly or cleanse it frequently enough. But you can do your own scalp scrub. You can do sugar scrubs. You can do salt scrubs. All of these things are perfectly fine for your scalp. Just like you would for the skin on your face, you can do these things. You can do these natural exfoliants for your scalp as well. Moisturizing and protection. So just like I said, like the skin elsewhere on the body, your scalp requires moisture and protection. So you always want to make sure you cleanse with a lightweight cleanser or a lightweight moisturizer, or a lightweight oil also can help to maintain your scalp's barrier function. Last but not least, for tonight, we're going to go over hair care practices for optimal health. This is my last topic in this part 2 of the secrets of black hair. Okay, so we're really going to kind of get into some things that you can do for optimal health, some hair practices you should have for optimal health. Gentle handling. Okay, now harsh things like excessive brushing or combing, which I really don't think many of us are doing. Like, I've never had a conversation with anybody that's like, girl, I know I be combing and brushing my hair too. I know I be combing and brushing my hair too rough. But if you know that you are handling your hair, and you could be combing it, uh, you could be combing it rough when you are detangling. Like, if you are detangling and you're not starting from the ends and working your way up, or if you are you don't have a product in there to kind of help to glide through those tangles, that could be a way that you are handling your hair rough. Okay. These things lead to breakage and split ends, believe it or not. Okay. Again, if you're detangling, use a wide tooth comb, use your fingers. Like, this should be something that I don't even have to go over, but you would be surprised. And then it goes without saying, avoiding overly tight hairstyles. This is part of the gentle handling techniques. All right. We don't want to put that extra stress on our hair and our roots. We know that these things can lead to traction alopecia, which is a form of hair loss. Typically, traction alopecia can be reversed, but if you are constantly wearing these styles over and over and over and over, it can become permanent. Okay, so another good hair care practice is protective styling. That leads me into protective styling, like we were just talking about, tight hairstyles. Now, wearing braids, twists, locks, updos, those are great. Okay, I'm going to wear hair extensions probably for a long time. You can wear hair extensions, you can wear wigs, you can wear braids. There is a right way to do everything, right? To maintain the health of your hair. Now, the reason we wear protective styles, the reason we should wear protective styles is because we want to tuck our hair away to prevent damage. Okay, we want to prevent damage from like over styling or over manipulating, styling our hair too much. Environmental things like the wind, the sun, you don't realize it, but those things can cause damage. There's a lot of pollution in the air, toxic chemicals. Protective styles help with these. The thing is, we usually wear protective styles as a convenience because we don't want to deal with our hair, and then we don't want to deal with the protective style. So if you don't want to deal with your natural hair, that same energy is gonna go into can go into your protective style. Like you don't want to deal with it. You think because you got braids in or because you got, these twists or this wig that you don't have to do anything. You still have to do something, okay? Now, um, again, it goes without saying these styles should not be too tight or left in for too long because then you are just making the problem, whatever problem you have, worse or creating problems that you probably or you may not even have had at first. All right. So another good hair care practice is finding the right products. Okay. Selecting the right hair care products is another thing that is necessary. Okay. It's essential. You need to look for products specially formulated for your hair type. You don't know your hair type? Go back and watch last week's video. We go step by step through figuring out what your hair type is, okay? And your hair's porosity. That is going to help you understand the type of moisturizer you should be using. Should you be using leave-ins? Should you be using cream-based products? Should you be using liquid-based, gel-based products? Should you be using protein treatments? Should your shampoos be sulfate-free? Do you need conditioners that have more slip? So these are questions that you should be able to answer when you go look for hair care products, okay? Or finding that's what the right product is. I think many times we use products because it worked for someone else. Well, if that someone else has a totally different hair type and hair structure than we do, we won't see the same results as them. So you have to take those things into consideration. How long should you leave protective styles up? It depends on the style. And it also depends on how much you are willing to commit to taking care of it. Okay. I would say if we're talking about box braids, I would say 8 to 12 weeks. I've left box braids in for 2 months. I've left box braids in for 4 months. It was rough, right? But the thing is, it doesn't. If you leave it in for a long time, make sure you are cleansing your scalp. At the very least, keep your scalp clean, okay? If we're talking about a wig or a sew-in, kind of the same thing. When I used to get sew-ins all the time, I would always get my hair washed with the sew-in because the sew-in can last about the same. You can get if it's installed correctly and the hair that you have is a decent quality hair, you can wear it 6 to 8 weeks, okay? Sometimes even longer. It just depends. But again, keeping your scalp clean and keeping your hair underneath moisturized is going to be key. So again, I am currently, and I'm very excited to share this. I'm working on a digital library. Okay, what is a digital library? It's going to have ebooks. It's going to have guides that you can download. And all of these things are going to be specific to what your hair needs are. So if you are someone that doesn't know anything about your hair and you need to know what is your hair type or what is your porosity, how do you know how thick your strands are, like all of these questions, you'll be able to get one guide to specifically help you with that. If you need to understand how to effectively moisturize your hair and specific products you can use based on your hair type, there's going to be a guide just for that, okay? If you are someone that's dealing with scalp issues, there'll be a guide just for that, okay? So, and I chose to do it that way because I think one book with all of that information in it will be too overwhelming. I want to make sure that you are focusing on one thing at a time, okay? That you are investing your time wisely and not trying to do 4 or 5 different things. I always tell people one step at a time, okay? So yes, the digital library is in process, but there will be a section on the website that's specifically for digital products. And you'll be able to go on there and figure out or know, okay, this is what I want to focus on for this month or this, next couple weeks. This book is definitely going to help, okay? So yes, I'm super, super excited about that. Now, before I go, or posted a link to our Spray and Go conditioning mist. And the reason I wanted to talk about that briefly is because I know that moisture and hydration is one thing that a lot of us are dealing with. So I do these surveys every quarter or every 3 months where I ask women or the people that are on my email list, what is the biggest problem that you have with your hair? And of course, besides growth, is dryness. My hair is so dry. I see that comment a lot. My hair is so dry. My hair is breaking. I don't know how to get my hair. So, one thing that I have that will definitely help with that. Here it is, a spray and go leave-in conditioning mist. So this is made mostly with aloe vera. So it has aloe vera juice, aloe vera gel, it has rose water. The three of those together are an amazing combination for keeping your hair hydrated, okay? And then it has some hibiscus infused avocado oil. So there is a little bit of oil in here to help to seal in the hydration. And then there's vegetable glycerin that helps to pull moisture in as well. And then there's some essential oils to add fragrance. This smells amazing, okay? So it's good for your scalp too. I would suggest, especially now that we're going into the summer months, if you are someone that sweats a lot, okay, and you do not have time to cleanse your scalp all the time, you can use this because the aloe vera, like I said, has some antibacterial, antifungal properties, and that will kind of help to keep your bacteria levels from getting out of control. Now, you still will have to do your due diligence and keep your scalp um, cleansed as much as you can, but this will definitely help to restore the moisture and the hydration that you lose from, your day-to-day activities. If you are not on a part of our email community, I would ask that you make sure to sign up. That's where we get all the information. You get all the updates for any new blog posts that I've written. If you check the website, it's full of blog posts because that's what I do. I love to write and to create content specifically about hair health. That is my passion and my purpose. So if you're in the email community, you definitely get more information than normally you would get on these weekly lives, or anytime that I'm running a special or having a sale, you'll also see it there as well. We also have our Facebook group. Get Your Hair Together is the name of the group. Facebook and YouTube is currently where I am. So if you are into social media, that's where you will find me. Okay. So again, thank you all so much for joining. I appreciate you spending time with me this evening. And I will see you all again next Thursday, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Okay. Take care.